Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. Hello, Rain. How are you today?
Hello, everyone. It's been a while, but I feel completely great, completely excited for this week's topic.
Just to be back, right?
Yeah.
Just to be back on track, finally. So today we want to discuss Jaylen Griffin's murder case. Jaylen Griffin is a 12-year-old boy from Buffalo who has been missing since 2020 in August. But his remains have been found like a month ago from now in an attic of a unrelated house, completely unrelated to Jaylen, 5 miles away from where he was last seen. And this house has a pretty dark history. And I wanted to talk about this case today because I feel like Jaylen's case is underreported at this point. And on top of that, Jaylen's case is a case that I assume is gonna get solved because it seems like a case that should be solvable, and I'm gonna tell you exactly why. Jaylen Griffin, we see the images of the 12-year-old boy. What do you see when you look at these images? Just a regular boy, just a regular 12-year-old boy. He's black, just want to mention that, but seems like a general kid.
Yeah, looks like a preteen.
Yeah, who didn't deserve anything bad to happen to him.
Definitely not. He definitely looks innocent.
Exactly. So everything started on August 4th, 4 years ago, when Jaylen from Buffalo, he told his mother that he was gonna go to a nearby grocery store and he was going to help out people walk their bags. I think it was something that he would do on a regular basis, and the people that he would help would actually compensate for his efforts with some money. So they would just give him some cash, some change.
I like this kid already. Nice and a hustler.
Nice and a hustler, exactly. So it's unfortunate. It's really sad, actually, to listen to this story. So his whereabouts had recently been found in April of 2024 at 107 Sheffield Avenue, 5 miles away from where he was last known to be. At this point, we have no idea how he ended up there. Law enforcement has not released any persons of interest or any suspects in Jaylen's murder case. But he was found in a house that has a dark history. 107 Sheffield Avenue. This is the house. As you can see, it seems like a regular house, just like every other house in the neighborhood, right? It seems like a very big neighborhood filled with similar looking homes.
Yeah, definitely looks similar to the other ones. However, it kind of looks a little bigger though than
Bigger
a
than
regular.
bigger. It's a I think it's a 2-story building with an attic, and Jaylen's remains had been located in that said attic.
Was it a rental place or just a private property?
Exactly. So this is where this is where things get very disturbing in this story. So this house, 107 Sheffield Avenue, it's actually a house where 4 bodies have been found in total. So Jaylen is only one of 4 bodies that had been found. I read information online about when exactly these bodies had been found. So one of the remains was found on June 23rd in 2020. I think it was found as a result of a welfare check. So this happened in June, so basically 2 months prior to Jaylen disappearing in the first place. I don't have any information about what exactly happened there, but there are some rumors, I think, online that due to the welfare check, I feel like maybe someone overdosed on drugs, and that's when they found the body. 2 other bodies have been found. One has been found in 2022 on September 11th, and another body has been found in August of 2023. So these two bodies have been found after Jaylen had already been missing. But try to connect the dots here. So Jaylen goes missing on August 2020. And there are two bodies that had been discovered in the house after he already had been missing. And I would assume that his body has been there for a while. So how do law enforcement discover bodies on multiple occasions in that house, but they don't ever go up to the attic to check on the attic? Seems like the attic was left unchecked all this time.
Yeah, that's pretty odd. I was wondering, maybe there could be two scenarios. One, he was abducted, he was taken to a different place, and he was left there. His remains were left there to rot. The second one could be potentially just the police not doing their job properly in this scenario. It's still pretty odd.
It's very strange. I'm reading right now that the last fourth body that was found in the house, it was actually found in the yard of that house. So maybe
In the yard.
in the yard.
Outside then.
Yeah, outside.
And is that a reason good enough for the police not to go in and check? I don't know. I think
Doesn't sound like a good enough reason. But once again, we don't really have the information exactly what's happening here. But it does, I do have a reason to believe why Jaylen has already been, or at least his remains had already been in that house for that period of time. Because, and this is actually a very strange detail that I'm going to show you. If you could see, this is the Google Street View image of the house.
I just want to say it looks like a creepy house.
107, this one, right? So this is from October 2020. So as you can see, this is the attic, the window from the attic. I feel like this is the same place where Jaylen's remains have been found. And if you would zoom in a little bit from the Google Street View image, you would see that there's a can. It seems like a red can, maybe a Coca-Cola can, and another white can. There's basically, for everyone who's listening to this, not watching on the YouTube channel, so basically we're looking at the attic window, but the attic window has like, how would you describe this window? It has like two windows in one, right?
Yeah, so these windows could be closed by like pulling them down. But in this picture, there were two cans that were preventing them from being completely shut off.
Yeah, they have been basically almost like left open. Like
It seems like they're left open for like a little bit of air to come inside circulation.
Exactly. So wouldn't you think that maybe and this is from October of 2020, and Jaylen has been missing since August of 2020. So this is 2 months after Jaylen's already missing. So wouldn't that make sense that Jaylen's remains may have already been there when the Google basically car for the Street View service already passed Sheffield Avenue 107?
Possibly, yeah.
And then look at the other Google Street View images from later dates. Now we have the next year, April of 2021. We have the same situation. It literally hasn't been moved. And then we have July of 2022. So this is 2 years, almost, I'm thinking close to being 3 years after Jaylen had already been missing, and the windows are still open. Isn't this quite bizarre?
Well, if you don't know the backstory, or if you don't know the story behind it, it will just look like a broken window that they're using something to prop open it.
But why would they prop open a window in Buffalo that has pretty severe winters?
Oh.
And from these images, it does look to me like the windows itself have not been moved. Like I'm looking at the windows and they look identical, and the can position looks identical in every single image.
Oh yeah, that's true, because I thought it was just during the summertime. But no, October.
October is already a cold. In October, you don't want to leave your
Oh
windows
no,
open.
not at all.
Especially, this is Buffalo is basically like Canada, right? It's kind of up there. So it's cold. And it's been up there. And it does look like it's not. So it immediately raises the question to me. How is this okay? Who is living in this house? And there's a lot of like questions here. So I do have some information about who exactly are the occupants of this mysterious house. So the house is actually owned by a company called Sunrise West LLC. This is a company that has also been named, this is going to be some legal terminology right now, named co-defendant alongside Spectrum Health and Human Services, and a tenant of the house who goes by the name of Deanna Withrow in a 2022 negligence lawsuit. Basically, what has happened is that Deanna Withrow and her friends were smoking, I assume, at the house, and they tossed out a piece of clothing and other items that caught fire while they were smoking at the house, which caused $130,000 worth of damage to their house, to the neighbor's house. Generally speaking, what this company, Sunrise West LLC, does, from a little bit of digging online, they provide housing for recent parolees, people who have been released on parole.
That immediately is bad.
And sex offenders, registered sex offenders, had been living in this house. So it seems like, and also I've read somewhere that the neighbors claim that people change, the occupants change often in this house. So immediately I'm thinking this case could be solved, because one of these people who had been living there, in my opinion, potentially committed this crime. How else would Jaylen Griffin's remains end up in this attic?
I would say the last occupant most likely did it.
How come? Why would you say the last occupant? Because I do assume that maybe the occupants from 2020 probably moved out at that point.
Yeah, and come on, rotting body remains. Probably it's gonna be, well, the smell is gonna be really strong. Are you telling me seriously, there's no way that people wouldn't smell it?
That's the big question. How did no one notice? And on top of that, I mean, I don't think it's the last occupant. Would you say maybe there's a higher chance that maybe the occupants that were living there
who lived in the second floor or in the third floor,
who had access to the attic?
Exactly. And come on, they had access to the attic.
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
But they wouldn't smell it
because of the propped up windows.
I don't think that's enough, though.
You don't think that's enough? Because maybe there's this is just speculation, because I assume law enforcement probably has this information, but I'm just thinking to myself, maybe there's a chance that the occupants, they were renting there for a short period of time, and maybe whomever killed Jaylen or is responsible for his death, maybe it was an occupant who briefly stayed at this house in August of 2020. They commit the crime and they prop open the window and they leave. And maybe it was even someone who wasn't living there officially, because I would assume a house like this would probably have some, unofficial guests all the time. So I'm thinking it could be something like that. Now, the only question is, how would this remain for 4 years undetected? I am thinking that there could be a chance that maybe someone back in August of 2020 had access to the attic, had a key, committed a crime. Then they locked up the attic, threw away the key, but before they left the house in general, they propped open the windows. That's the case that I'm building in my head right now. That is what it looks like to me personally.
I just couldn't wrap my head around the fact that no one noticed, no one smelled anything.
That is the craziest part. But I do think that maybe if after the winter time, it was already, maybe the remains were so decomposed that they were already they had no
But it's still
odor.
like...
Because the person who discovered the remains in April of this year, they did not report any smell. So the remains,
that's crazy. I
the
don't know how
remains
that happened.
after 4 years. Mm-hmm. After 4 years.
No, like how did the body decompose without anyone noticing? Or at least getting a whiff of it?
Yeah, exactly. That's the strangest thing ever is like...
Unless...
Who was actually living there? Who's living there in August of 2020? I mean, obviously, right?
There should be a record.
And yeah, and I think maybe the only reason why we don't have, at least I haven't heard of this case being solved right now, is that maybe they can't prove, maybe they don't have proof that one of the occupants did it. Maybe they just don't have the proof, and maybe they're working on the case.
Yeah.
They're trying to figure out, because I mean, who else other than the person who was living there in 2020? And I think multiple people were living there. It's not just one person living there. It's like multiple units that could be rented. So there's multiple occupants at the same time.
But you did mention it wasn't the first body that was found, right?
Exactly. Actually, a body was found shortly before Jaylen even went missing in June of 2020. And then multiple bodies had been found in the years post Jaylen's disappearance. So there's bodies being found there, seems like on a yearly basis, but no one steps into the attic to take a look.
I have no words. I don't know what to say.
It
seems impossible.
It could be a situation that the people who have passed away in this house, other than Jaylen, maybe they had passed away not due to crime related, not due to foul play. Maybe they had passed away due to drug overdoses. In those scenarios, I could assume that maybe
less investigation would happen.
It's maybe these people would first be transported to the hospital and would, die in the hospital. And maybe law enforcement never really checked in on the house, which is still strange.
But you mentioned something like a body was found at the lawn.
Yeah, on the yard.
The yard.
Yeah.
So the body was there, not in a hospital.
Yeah, but that's maybe
an exception.
No, maybe the person was maybe like doing drugs in the yard and ODs in the yard, overdoses. Maybe that's what's happening there. I don't know. But yeah, that's generally what we have here in this case. Jaylen's case. So your thoughts on the whole situation so far?
Could be solved. Definitely.
Seems like it, right? Another thing that I wanted to bring your attention to is this window right here, if you could take a look. This is another window. It seems like it's a second-story window, and it has been boarded up. And it seems like it has been boarded up for the time when Jaylen had already been missing. I don't know, just another interesting detail that second-floor window is kind of boarded up. Why would you board up a window?
Yeah, that's also weird.
It's a strange thing to do.
Pretty strange.
Right? So, obviously, the question is, how did Jaylen ended up in this house when he was just going to the grocery store, allegedly?
I mean, the most obvious reason for me is that he was abducted.
Yeah, that's the same thing that I was thinking about.
Yeah, because there was no way a kid could walk that far.
No, it doesn't make sense.
And if, for example, he got lost, he's still going to be within the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Or at least within the vicinity, or a little bit outside, but not that far.
Not that far away.
It's too far away.
Yeah.
And too specific. Like, seriously, a house?
Yeah.
Housing people,
Yeah.
parolees,
Yeah,
I don't know, it's just-
troubled people. Yeah,
sex offenders. It's just a little too much of a coincidence to be accidental.
yeah. So I think at this point we're just going to be waiting for information from law enforcement just to see if anything new comes out. It's been a month since anything new has been reported, so I'm hoping that this is not going to be a case that goes unsolved. But I guess we're just going to have to keep our eyes on this one.
Yeah, and we'll keep you guys posted.
Yeah, thank
I
you.
hope justice will be served.
Let's hope so. Thank you for listening, guys.